welcome to this quick video. Going to be looking at domain restrictions and looking at in what ways can we actually restrict domain. So quick recall, domain is all of the input values, all the things that I can put into an equation. And then eventually I can get something back out. So we're going to skip on ahead and take a look at some more abstract things. Looking at domain and range, we're going to do proper notation, and we're going to pull these first two examples. So we can see here, I boxed the X's because I think it helps us focus on what we need to do, because again, we're only interested in what I can put into this equation. Okay, can I plug in 0? Yeah, 2 times 0, I can do that. I get a number. Can I plug in a positive number here and still be okay? Yeah, I can do 2 times 3 minus 10. Yeah, that's a number. I don't know what the number is. Can I plug in a negative number here? Yeah, I can do 2 times negative 3. Why not? Can I even plug in like a fraction? Like what if I tried like a 1/2, right? 2.5. Yeah, I still get a number. So on this one, kind of really friendly here because we have no restrictions. So all real numbers for the domain. I can plug in any number that I think in my brain and it's going to be a-okay. So I'm going to move myself on over so we can look at another example. Ooh, it looks like on here I'm squaring some numbers. Okay, well, am I allowed to do 0 squared? Yeah, that's just regular old 0. Can I plug in a positive number like 1? Yeah, I can plug in 1. I can square 1. Can I plug in a negative number like -2? Can I still square that? Yeah, I can do that. I can even plug in a fraction. I'm not going to do it, but the idea is that I know I can do it. I can square any number. Oh, this is a really nice one. Looks like Sebastian's freaking out. He doesn't need to because we have another all real number situation. I can plug in any number that I want and I can square it. Again, just focused on what I can put into the equation. And we're listing all the possible values that I can put into this. All right, so let's see what happens when it starts to get tricky. We're gonna look at our first restriction, our first little bite of the poison apple, and that is domain restriction number 1. Denominators can never equal 0. We can never divide by 0 in the math world. So I can't do 20 divided by 0. That's just no. If it helps, I can't take 20 things, like 20 cookies, and split it between no one. That doesn't really make any sense. So that's our first restriction. So on all of these, what I like to do is I focus on the denominator. Okay. I have to make sure that I never, ever, ever, no matter how much I want it to, I can't have it go to 0. And then maybe I need to do some work here. Well, it looks like on number 4 that I just can't plug in 0. I can still put a fraction in there. I can still put a negative. I can do -1/2. I can do that. So it looks like I just have to skip over 0. So the way that I'm going to put that in interval is it says I can use all the negative numbers I want in the world. Ooh, I'm going to have to stop at 0. And again, the way that I skip over numbers in interval notation is using that union. I'm going to use my Comic Colors UTD here. And then I can do all the positive numbers. Again, I can have positive fractions. I can have negative fractions. All right, set notation's a whole lot easier. Little braces, X, such that I can have all the numbers in the world. I just can't have 0. But I can plug in everything else. Okay, not too bad. Let's try one more. So we have this one over here. Oh, this denominator is a little more complicated. There's some extra stuff in there. So we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna say, okay, denominator can never, ever, ever go to 0. Okay, it looks like I need to move some stuff over. I see this +2, so I'm gonna move this over and just do a little bit of algebra here. So X, so on this example, X can't be -2, okay? Because if I try to plug in -2, ooh, +2, ooh, 0, can't do that. Got to avoid it, got to skip over that. So I can do negative numbers. I can do -10 if I really wanted, that's okay. Just have to skip over -2, can't have it. So use that union. Again, a union's kind of like a link in the chain. So -2 upwards to infinity. And then we love set notation. I'm a big fan of set notation. because all I have to do is copy and paste. X can't equal -2. And we're done. That's the only number that's off limits. I like fractions. Fractions are pretty friendly because I can have everybody. There's usually just one little trouble zone that I can't have. Oh, don't panic. Get it? Although I think that's pain instead of panic. Okay, again, my focus is on the denominator. I just have to be sure I never, ever, ever go to 0 because I never want to divide by it. So again, it looks like I'm going to need to do a little bit of algebra. So I'm going to pull this to the side because I always like to give myself just a little more room. Okay, looks like I'm going to need to move that -1 over. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides to keep it nice and balanced. Again, mathematicians, we like a balanced equation. We like a balanced diet. We like a balanced life. Okay, divide and split. Okay, so this one looks like I need to skip over 1/2. That's not too bad. So skip over 1/2. Again, I can do positives, I can do negatives. I just have that one number I can't do because again, don't divide by 0. Again, I can't take something like some shirts or jackets and split them between no one. Where would we go? Where would we go? That doesn't work. All right. Domain restriction number 2, square roots. We cannot do square roots of negative numbers. I put a little wah-ha-ha there because we'll see that a little later. But something like this, like -2. If I try to put that in the calculator, I get something that says I get an error, and I see the word non-real. Yes, we'll talk about that later. But the biggest thing is that I can't do it. If you're wondering why, here's a quick reason. If I try to do something like -2 and I square that, I'm going to get to +4. So again, squaring multiplies it by itself 2 different times. So there's really no way that I can multiply 2 numbers by itself and get to a negative number because negative times negative gives me positive. So it's just not possible. So this is going to be our other error that's going to happen. So square roots just can't be negative. So here's just 3 examples that we're going to try. So the way that I do these is kind of similar. I locate the restriction. Okay, it's going to be under the square root. Ooh, this is an interesting question. Can I do something like square root of 0? Because the last time we weren't allowed to have 0. I can, because I can do 0 times 0 gives me 0. So I can include it, but I just have to be above 0. So I can do numbers like 1, 2, 3. Well, looks like this restriction is already solved for. I just need to be sure that x is above 0. Well, that's not too bad. I can work with that. So you'll see that I used a bracket in interval notation because again, that means that I can include that number. So in interval notation, brackets are good things. I can include them and you'll see that I got to copy and paste it down to set notation. All right, almost there. Next one, I got a couple other things underneath, but I'm gonna solve it the same way. So I'm gonna do +4, looks like a weird 4, above or equal to 0. Okay, it looks like I'm gonna need to do a little bit of work here. There's my 4, that looks a whole lot better. And then everything gets nice and canceled off. I love canceling stuff out. It's so satisfying in math when you can like cross things off. Okay, so I have x is greater than or equal to -4. And again, you can try that out. Okay, what happens if I plug in something like -5? Ooh, I've done a square root of a negative. I can't do that. So I was like kind of testing out my answer to be sure that I've got it. And we're done. Bracket, because you can include it. All right, the next one looks a little intimidating, but I think we're gonna be fine because again, all I care about is underneath. The outside's not going to affect it. It's just the root. I have to be sure it's all above 0. So that's what we just gotta be careful. So I'm gonna do 3/4. And then that looks like a better 4. And then I have +1. Restriction has to be greater or equal to 0. Okay, looks like I need to move a couple things over, like the +1. I'm gonna do this. Ooh, I do see some fractions, so we're definitely gonna talk about that. -1. Okay, I see that it's dividing by 4. So I'm gonna multiply both sides by 4. So again, cancel stuff out, so satisfying in math. 3x, here's equals -4. Oh, it's looking so much better, because now what I'm gonna do is divide everything by 3. Again, cross it off in math. We love it, so satisfying. And there's my final restriction. Oh, that's okay. Looks like I didn't type that one in, so I can write it. So I've got the x with the little braces, and then such that, so that's that vertical line, where all the x's I can pick from, -4/3. And then some braces again, and I'll put the set, there we go, interval, bracket, because I can do square root of 0. So if I try to plug in -4/3, we're gonna be fine. And infinity, and you'll see there is that parenthesis next to the infinity. I'm gonna fix this 4 right here so it looks a little bit more like a 4, but not too bad. All right, those are domain restrictions. Thanks for watching.